Was there any volatility in the standings across the NHL tonight? Well, let's take a look at some of the final scores to find out. The Devils faced off against the Sabres. Buffalo put in a gritty effort and were able to scratch out the victory. The Flames took to the road to match up with the Sharks. Calgary toughs one out and pick up the win. The Bruins had a tall order to fill as they tried to take two on the road against the Wild. Boston played great defensively, but it was an extra special performance in goal as they get the shutout win. Hey, we got to pay a couple of bills here, but we got a lot more action we got to get to. Stay with us. All right, at this time, let's get you caught up on all the action on the ice tonight. The Canucks were hoping to play spoiler against the Red Wings. Detroit toasts their opponents with a night filled with goals. The Lightning paired up with the Capitals. Tampa Bay pulled this one out. It went to a shootout, but they get the win. The Habs were looking to steal 2 points against the Devils. Montreal takes this one on the heels of a spectacular show in the shootout. We got a jam-packed show. We've got a lot more stuff we got to get to, so don't even think about going anywhere. Stay with us. Let's take a look at the scoreboard and what went down tonight on the ice. The Devils were hoping their offense would show up in a big way against the Rangers. The New York Rangers took it in overtime and skate off into the night with the 2 points. The Canes were in tough with the Islanders. The New York Islanders toughed this one out and they get the 2 points. The Sharks were on the road to take on the Canadiens. Montreal pummels the opposition into submission with a big offensive night. Time for a quick break, but we got a lot more coming up on the ice next. Let's take a look around the league and some of the final scores out there tonight. The Devils went toe-to-toe on the road against the Canucks. Vancouver teed up a victory in a tightly contested affair. The Predators faced off with the Oilers. Nashville powers this one out with a strong game in their own end. The Wild played on the road against the Flames. Calgary took this one with a strong game at both ends of the ice. Lots more puck talk coming your way, and we'll get to it next. All right, let's go around the horn and see what happened elsewhere around the NHL tonight. The Blue Shirts were hoping to take a bite out of the Canadiens. Montreal presents a pretty performance in the shootout and get the win. The Kraken played on the road against the Blackhawks. Seattle toasts their opponents thanks to a brilliant effort between the pipes in the shutout win. The Blue Jackets took to the ice for a collision with the Stars. Columbus perseveres in this one and they get the victory. All right, let's get all you poolies and all you hockey fans caught up on all the action out on the ice tonight. The Flyers were in a dogfight on the road against the Stars. Philadelphia tested their mettle in this one, but they still come away with the win. The Ducks were on the road up against the Capitals. Anaheim plastered the opposition with a big-time night offensively. The Kraken paired up with the Avalanche. Colorado triumphs in the shootout, proving to be a little too much to handle offensively. We got to take a quick pause for the cause, but we got a lot more coming up on the other side. Stay with us. Let's take a look at the rest of the action on the ice tonight in the National Hockey League. The Ducks battled it out against the Rangers. Anaheim pulls one out in a tightly contested affair. All right, checking in on some of the other action around the league tonight. The Sabres had an on-ice collision with the Hurricanes. Carolina takes this one as they win it in the shootout. The Wings were in a dogfight on the road up against the Stars. Dallas puts on a clinical offensive display in the win. Hey, we got to take a quick pause for the cause, but we got a lot more on the other side. Don't even think about leaving this. Time to take a look at what happened around the league as we check in on some of the scores. The Avs were hoping to grab 2 points up against the Blues. St. Louis topples the opposition with a big goal-scoring effort. The Preds were hoping to fly high on the road against the Hurricanes. Nashville powers their way to victory, showing a lot of grit in both ends of the ice. The Canucks were looking to steal 2 against the Oilers. Edmonton tramples their opponents with a big offensive night. We got to take a quick break, everybody, but we've got a lot more to get to. Stay with us. Well, busy night in the National Hockey League. Let's see what happened elsewhere on the ice. The Golden Knights looked to run roughshod over the Rangers. The New York Rangers tightened it up late when they needed to most, and they pick up the 2 points. The Cats took on the Sharks. San Jose turned it up in the shootout, and they come away with the 2-point win. The Isles took to the ice to lock up with the Kings. Los Angeles plasters the opposition with a strong offensive performance. We got to take a quick break, but we got a lot more coming your way next. All right, let's take a look at some of the final scores in the league tonight. The Jets were looking to grab points on the road against the Rangers. The New York Rangers tightened it up late when they needed to most, and they pick up the 2 points. The Hurricanes were on the road to take on the Ducks. Anaheim posts the shutout in a clinical performance defensively. The Sabres had their hands full with the Lightning. Buffalo too much to handle in the shootout, and they get the win. A very special guest drops by on the show, and we'll do that next. Great night to be on the couch and watching hockey. Tons of scores around the league. Let's take a look at what went down. The Knights were hoping to come up with 2 points on the road against the Predators. Nashville posts the win in a game that went back and forth all night. The Panthers took to the ice to battle the Senators. Florida takes this one thanks to a beautiful performance in goal for the shutout win. The Blues took to the road to match up with the Avalanche. Colorado pulverizes their opponents with a strong offensive display. Don't even think about touching that dial or touching that button. We've got plenty more on the ice, and that's next. Well, let's take a look at how the standings were impacted with some of the final scores around the league tonight. The Rangers were hoping to quiet the crowd on the road against the Maple Leafs. Toronto tore it up on this night, and they easily pick up the win. The Bees faced off against the Sharks. Boston plays the role of destroyer in the win. The Flames took to the road to match up with the Predators. Nashville takes this one in a nail-biter. We are as cool as ice, and we are bringing you many more stories from the NHL. We're doing it next. Busy night of action on the ice. Let's take a look at some of the finals that are in from tonight. The Flyers had a tall order to fill as they tried to take 2 on the road against the Red Wings. Detroit played one of their strongest defensive games of the year, and they get the win. The Blue Jackets were hoping to play spoiler against the Kraken. Columbus technically was as good as it gets defensively in this one, and they get the win. The Hurricanes were looking to steal 2 points against the Penguins. Carolina pounded home the winner in overtime. We'll check the inbox, we'll check the text line, and hear what you have to say next. Okay, everybody, let's take a quick look at some of the final scores around the league tonight. The Bolts were hoping their offense would show up in a big way against the Rangers. Tampa tightens it up when they needed to most, and they preserve the victory. Let's take a look at this time at some of the other final results around the league tonight. The Sharks were in tough with the Bruins. Boston puts up a strong defensive front when it mattered most, and they get the win. Let's check in on some of the final scores across the league tonight. The Oilers were on the road to take on the Flyers. Philadelphia turns it up when they needed to most, and they get the OT winner. The Hawks went toe-to-toe on the road against the Hurricanes. Chicago... Now let's take a look at some of the rest of the action tonight in the NHL. The Sabres faced off with the Wild. Buffalo topples the opposition thanks to coming up big in the shootout. The Blackhawks were hoping to take a bite out of the Flyers. Philadelphia posts the win in a tightly contested affair. The Flames took to the ice for a collision with the Islanders. Calgary, too much to handle on this night, and they pick up the win. Don't go anywhere. We've got much more here on the show. Well, some fun, some drama, a little bit of everything on the ice tonight. Let's take a look at some of those scores around the league. The Kraken played a game against the Rangers. The New York Rangers took this one with a strong defensive effort in their own end. The Stars were in a dogfight on the road against the Blackhawks. Dallas tore it up on the ice. It almost seemed like everybody got in on the scoring in the win. The Sabres were on the road up against the Oilers. Buffalo peppers the opposition with a strong offensive performance for the win. Lots more to get to on the ice. Stay with us, everybody. All right, lots of wild happenings on the ice tonight. Let's take a look at some of the scores of what went down. The Avalanche played a game against the Ducks. Colorado turns in a strong defensive effort, enough to preserve the win. The Canadiens battled it out against the Oilers. Montreal picks up the win in the skills competition and the 2 points to go with it. The Penguins had an on-ice collision with the Hurricanes. Pittsburgh treated almost everyone to a magical offensive display. Hey, a few more hot-button issues we got to get to. It's a jam-packed show tonight. Stick around. Hey, no shortage of action and drama on the ice tonight. Let's take a look at what happened elsewhere. The Sabres were in a dogfight on the road up against the Penguins. Buffalo picks up not only the win, but the shutout as they put on an absolute masterpiece in their own end. The Avalanche paired up with the Stars. Dallas took this one with a strong defensive effort in their own end. The Canadiens were hoping to grab 2 points up against the Capitals. Montreal powers through in a tight one. The story on the ice continues in a moment. All right, at this time, everyone, we'll catch you up on what went down in all the action in the league tonight. The Rangers were hoping to fly high on the road against the Canucks. The New York Rangers tightened it up in the victory en route to a shutout. The Senators were looking to steal 2 against the Capitals. Ottawa pushed on through for the 2 points thanks to the shootout win. Was there any volatility in the standings across the NHL tonight? Well, let's take a look at some of the final scores to find out. The Sharks look to run roughshod over the Rangers. San Jose All right, at this time, let's get you caught up on all the action on the ice tonight. The Kraken played on the road against the Wild. Minnesota puts in a full 60-minute effort to pull this one out. The Canucks took on the Flames. Calgary toughed this one out, and they get the win. The Avs took to the ice to lock up with the Blues. Still to come, including the story in MMA, the hardwood, and more. Stay with us. Let's take a look at the scoreboard and what went down tonight on the ice. The Wild played on the road against the Predators. Nashville tallies up the shutout performance thanks to a great effort between the pipes. The Oilers were looking to grab points on the road against the Sharks. Edmonton put on a show offensively in the win. The Capitals were on the road to take on the Devils. Washington tightened it up late when they needed to most, and they pick up the 2 points. Hey, we got to pay a couple of bills here, but we got a lot more action we got to get to. Stay with us. And I think one of the other storylines to me that I'm intrigued by is, you look at what we've seen from him, and yes, we all know he's a talented player, but can he win? Can he win the Stanley Cup? And I think that question needs to be asked now because, he's been in the league for more than a half a decade. I like what he said this week, that he's all in, that he is ready to be in it to win it. I think he's going to need his teammates to be in that same mindset as well, right? I mean, he can only control what he can control, but let's see if there's a different player out there on the ice this year because, I think there's a lot of talent there, but I think a lot of people have kind of seen, like, can he break on through to be great, right? There's very good, and then there's great. And I think we're waiting to see if he can make that jump and win the Stanley Cup. All right, to the phones we go. Matthew is on line 4. And the whole narrative and the expression being good in the room, right? Chemistry is important with a team. How many times have we seen teams that are absolutely stacked with talent and they fall apart? Why? Because there was just a disconnect within the room. And I know with some reporters and some of the media members asking the kid, saying, hey, why? How do you endear yourself to teammates more? I don't know if there's ever really an answer. I mean, you can go out and, try to be the best player you can be. That's one way to do it. Personally speaking, I think another great way to do it is buying everybody pizza. Because who likes pizza? Everybody, right? Everybody loves pizza. Let's go back to the phones here. Let's go to Brent. Brent is on line 3. Let's take a look around the league and some of the final scores out there tonight. The Ducks had their hands full with the Panthers. Anaheim played pad the stats tonight en route to the victory. The Maple Leafs were hoping to come up with 2 points on the road against the Hurricanes. Toronto tore it up offensively, and they skate away with the win. The Sens took to the ice to battle the Islanders. Ottawa pulls one out of the fire in a tightly contested affair. We got a jam-packed show. We've got a lot more stuff we got to get to, so don't even think about going anywhere. Stay with us. All right, let's go around the horn and see what happened elsewhere around the NHL tonight. The Islanders took to the road to match up with the Lightning. Tampa technically superior in this one, and they skate away with the victory. The Golden Knights were hoping to quiet the crowd on the road against the Blues. St. Louis peppered the opposition with plenty of goals en route to the win. The Flames faced off against the Wild. Calgary taps into another gear and skate away with the 2 points. Time for a quick break, but we got a lot more coming up on the ice next. All right, let's get all you poolies and all you hockey fans caught up on all the action out on the ice tonight. The Capitals took to the road to match up with the Red Wings. Detroit powers their way to victory in this one. The Lightning paired up with the Flyers. Philadelphia torched the opposition in overtime, and they come away with the extra point. Let's take a look at the rest of the action on the ice tonight in the National Hockey League. The Predators had a tall order to fill as they tried to take two on the road against the Oilers. Nashville pulled this one out thanks to coming up big in the shootout. The Blues were hoping to play spoiler against the Golden Knights. St. Louis triumphs with a big offensive effort. The Islanders were looking to steal 2 points against the Ducks. Anaheim pounded their opponents into submission with a huge offensive effort. We got to take a quick pause for the cause, but we got a lot more coming up on the other side. Stay with us.